welcome to Find Your Flow. My name is Natalie and I will be guiding you through this beginner's practice today. So find something really comfy to wear, hop onto a mat if you have one, and get your at-home prop. So for this practice today we will need something like a strap, but you could use a scarf, a belt, a towel, a tie, and the dressing gown, robe, tie, anything you have at all to just help us find a little bit more space for when we need it in a few moments' time. So placing your strap equivalent to one side so we can grab it with ease. We will come down to the ground and start our practice in a comfortable Shavasana. So lying down on the ground and really finding a space that feels comfortable for you. And if you know right away that you have some fussiness in the lower back, you might like to bend the knees and bring the soles of the feet to the earth. It really just helps to release this space. And allowing the knees to collapse in towards each other if you've chosen this option. Resting the hands wherever they lie most comfortably. And there's no right or wrong here, just really feel into this space. Whenever we found stillness, we'll bring our attention to our breath. Simply inhaling through the nose and exhaling through the nose. Keep on going just like that. And with each of our exhales, can we sink our body into the ground a little bit more? And can we release any tension or tightness that we might be holding, maybe without even realizing that we are? Soften the shoulders, the jaw, the hands, the feet, the fingers, the toes. Soften the stomach space around the diaphragm and really just let your breath flow freely. Becoming aware of your stomach rising and falling like a balloon, inflating and deflating. If you'd like to, you could bring your hands onto this space. And then inhaling through the nose, and on your next out breath, open the mouth, sigh your exhale out. 2 more times. Feeling all of the lungs expand as you inhale and soften as you exhale. Once more. And then you can keep the eyes soft or closed completely, or open the eyes as we lift the feet off the earth, knees in towards you slightly, but then lengthen the legs, kick the heels towards the sky, keeping a nice generous bend in the knees. We'll lift the hands and start to circle through the wrists and the ankles, opening the knees and the legs a little wider, bending the elbows, spreading through the fingers and the toes. Nice, breathing in and breathing out. Now soften the feet and take the thighs a little bit further away from the chest space. Bring the shins parallel to the sky. Keep the hands reaching. And then lifting the head, neck and shoulders off the ground. We'll float the fingertips towards the toes, finding this connection to our center, waking up our deep abdominal muscles. Breathing in, breathing out, releasing. 2 more times, lifting on your inhale, releasing on your exhale. Nice. Once more, keep the shoulders soft from beneath the ears as they rise off. And then releasing the head down, hands come to the knees as we find circles in the hips. So opening the knees out wide and taking them around. 3 times in one direction, 3 times in the opposite direction. So reverse your circle whenever you're ready, using the hands as a guide to explore your natural range of motion. And then come in to take hold of your at-home strap and taking it around the sole of the left foot. Reaching the foot towards the sky as we lengthen the leg. Find the softness in the arms. So if we're all the way up here holding on for dear life, can we release, making our strap a little longer if we can. And then keeping this bend in the knee as we bring the toes towards the face. And notice this space around the glute. If it's wanting to curl off the mat, maybe even the lower back's curling off the ground, can we really notice this and bring it back down as we simply bring the toes closer towards the face. Breathing in, breathing out. Taking the strap into the left hand, and our right hand will come to our right hip point. So keeping both hips on the ground as we open the leg out to the side. Nice, breathing here before floating all the way back to center and releasing the strap, taking it to the center of the right foot now. Keeping this bend in the knees, we kick the heel towards the sky. Notice this length we're finding in the back of the right leg, arms soft. Toes reach towards the face. Notice how there might be a different amount of space here in this leg to the other leg. So just being really present, not judging anything at all. Smiling, breathing, and softening. Finding one more breath here. Before taking the strap into the right hand, we'll open the leg out to the right side, keeping our left hand on our left hip. Both hips and both sides of the pelvis stay rooting down towards the earth. We find one more breath here before lifting all the way back up, releasing the strap from our foot and taking it to one side as we take the hands to the hamstrings, curl the chin towards the chest, and then roll the forehead towards the knees. Lift a little higher through the head, neck and shoulders. Breathing in, breathing out. Head releases down, rolling onto our right side. We use the palms to lift us into a seat. Hips come onto your support, your cushion, your pillow, your folded towel. We'll bring our hips to the front of the support, taking the right leg out long, left leg hugs in, and starting to notice this length through our spine, all the way from our tip of our tailbone to the crown of our head. Keeping our right toes towards our face as we hug the right arm around the left leg. And then finding this twist from our rib cage, we'll float the left fingertips to the earth behind us. And if we want a little bit more height underneath the hand, we can take whatever support we want to. If we notice we're sort of slouching and collapsing in the back body, this might be a nice option for us to invite a bit more length. So breathing here with every inhale. We lift a little taller through the spine with every exhale. Maybe we explore our twist a bit more. Nice, breathing in Breathing out, floating back to center, left leg long, right leg hugs in. Hugging the left arm around the leg and then floating the right fingertips behind us. Inhale to lift tall, exhale to release. Exploring this through our thoracic spine right here. Getting all of the juicy blood and oxygen flowing through the spine. Massaging our internal organs as well in a twist. One more breath here. And then exhaling to float back to center. Taking hold of our strap again and taking it around both feet. Taking our feet a little bit wider. If they're all the way touching, can we find a bit more space as we bend our knees, lift the toes up, and keeping this length through the spine. Keep lengthening as we fold. Bringing the stomach down towards the thighs. Using our strap here to help us find a bit more space. If we don't want to use that and we might have been practicing for a little longer, we can just rest the hands wherever they fall naturally. But notice that we aren't just rounding and collapsing the forehead towards the knees. This puts a lot of pressure and tension in a lot of spaces that we don't want. So keeping this long line. Maybe if we have the space, we can start to lengthen the legs a little bit more. Or maybe that's for another day entirely. Remember, we aren't looking to push here or get ourselves into a space that doesn't feel good. Finding one more breath here. Before releasing the strap and placing it to one side, scooting the legs to one side and jumping through into a tabletop all fours. So bringing our wrists beneath our shoulders and our knees beneath our hips, pressing the palms lightly into the earth as we lift the space in between our shoulder blades. So we aren't collapsing or sinking into the shoulder space. And then rolling our tailbone down to the ground. We'll arch our spine towards the sky, dropping our gaze and arching our back towards the sky like an angry cat, finding cat pose. Breathing here before lifting the tailbone towards the sky, rolling through the spine, tummy comes down to the ground, lifting our gaze just in front of our hands, just in front of our mat in our cow pose. Nice, keep pressing through the palms as we float here, forwards and back. But rather than just getting to the destination of the posture, staying there, being there, can we really feel what we feel through our transition? Experience this wakening up of the spine, of the front body, the back body. Nice. And can we imagine our spine rolling as individual parts? Coming one more time into your cat pose. Floating slowly, cow pose. Keep the fingers spreading wide on the earth. And whenever you're ready, we'll float back to our neutral spine, tucking the toes under and keeping a micro bend in the elbows, lifting away from the earth as we hover the knees off the ground just slightly. Maybe you start to shake here like a washing machine. If you do, that's okay. Just breathe. Know that it doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're alive. You're strong. Releasing the knees down. Whew. Breathing in. Breathing out. Hover the knees off. We're finding that connection again to our center. Are we breathing? Are we clenching the jaw? Releasing the knees down. Whew. One more time. Breathing in. Breathing out, hover the knees off. Nice. Feel everything that's happening in your body right now, all of these amazing sensations. Keeping the gaze down, one more breath here. Before floating the knees wide on the earth, toes come to touch. And walking the hands forward, forehead and chest down towards the ground. Child's pose. If you want to, just roll the wrists here. Soften the elbows as much as you want to. And if it feels more comfortable to bring the knees a bit closer together in your child's pose, then go for that. That's awesome. Just really listen to your body and what feels good for you today. Lifting back up into our tabletop. We'll tuck our toes under with our knees back to parallel. And sitting back onto our tucked toes, we'll reach our arms forwards. And lightly pressing into the palms, we'll float the knees off the ground and lift the hips high, lengthening the legs. Downward facing dog. Pedaling through the heels. And notice your breath here. As we're in an inversion with our head below our heart. Can we keep everything nice and soft? Sometimes we enter panic mode. So really just knowing that we are safe here. Feeling the support from our palms spreading through our wrists to our arms, shoulders. And spreading to the entirety of the body. One more breath here. Inhaling. And exhaling, walking the hands back to the feet, bending the knees even more generously, forward fold. Taking our feet hips width apart, if not a tiny bit wider. And just releasing the head, neck and arms, hanging and swinging softly from side to side. As we come back to center, we'll lift up halfway, finding a flat back, floating our arms behind us like airplane wings. Nice. And releasing, folding. On your next inhale, lift up halfway, flat back. Can we find a bit more space between our shoulders and our earlobes? And softening down to the ground. One more time, inhaling, lift. Exhaling, fold. Keeping the arms soft as we slowly start to roll up to standing. Nice and slowly, stacking our spine one vertebrae at a time, piece by piece, until we find our mountain pose. Nice. Tadasana with our feet hips distance apart, toes track forwards. We'll always keep this soft bend in the knees. And then reaching our arms out wide, spreading our wings, gazing up if we can. Releasing the arms down by our sides, sending the right hand down the right leg. Keeping the knees soft, floating the left hand up the rib cage, the side body, and then towards the sky. Folding over to the right side, breathing into the space in our side body. Inhaling. Exhaling, curling the chin towards the chest as we round through the spine, floating through center and over to the other side. So left hand down the left leg, right hand reaches up and over. Breathing in, breathing out, moving over to the other side. Really find this curling forwards. Then right hand down the leg, left hand reaches, finding this radiation towards the sky with our heart, breathing in. Breathing out, coming all the way through center and over to the left side. Nice. Keeping this soft. One breath here. And then slowly lifting all the way up to standing. Arms reach, breathing in. And on your breath out, releasing the arms, tucking the chin towards the chest. As we start to roll down towards the ground. Planting the palms, walking them forwards, coming into your downward facing dog. And slowly, slow as we can go, releasing the knees down to the ground, hovering them off the earth before they touch if we can, just for a moment. And softening, lovely. Sending the left leg back behind us, bending the knee and stepping the foot forwards, coming into a low lunge with our back knee on the ground. Using as much support underneath the back knee as we'd like to. Maybe taking our blanket or cushion and then reaching our fingertips wide all the way towards the sky, softening through the elbows and the shoulders, finding cactus arms. but taking a look at our lunge. If we're on a tightrope, we'll probably be struggling to find balance here, so walking our left leg a little bit wider if we want to find a bit more space. But notice that our knee is still in alignment with our femur bone, our thigh, all the way down to our hip. And can we soften the shoulders even more away from the ears? Finding one more breath here before releasing the arms. Now, if we don't have our two at-home bricks, books, whatever we have, we can keep the hands on the hips. So wherever we are, we'll float the left toes towards the face, soften the hips back. Keep a bend in the left knee and then roll all the way back forwards and come all the way back. Nice, just rocking here. Exploring the space in the back of the leg, all the way through the ankle to the calf, the back of the knee, the hamstring, spreading all the way up to the glute. Just find the softness here. Are we breathing? Nice, coming all the way back forwards, planting the palms and stepping into your tabletop. Floating the right leg out long, we'll bend the knee and find our lunge on the other side. So setting up, jumping out of our front leg, feeling into this left hip flexor, keeping this nice and soft, reaching the arms and finding cactus arms, lifting the heart just slightly. And we feel each of our 26 bones of the foot on the earth. Toes nice and soft, breathing in, breathing out. Hands come either onto the hips or onto our at-home props, wherever we are, rocking all the way back. Right toes lift to the face and forwards, lovely. Just oiling out the joints here around the hip, giving some love and some space here. Nice, one more time. Coming forwards, planting the palms and stepping back into your tabletop. Tucking the toes under, sitting back on the heels as we reach the arms out in front. Pressing lightly through the palms, floating the knees, the hips, downward facing dog, lifting the hips high, bending the knees generously, even more generously. Taking a big breath in. As we breathe out, walking the hands back to the feet, finding our forward fold. Head and neck release down towards the ground. Slowly, we'll root down through the feet to rise and roll up to standing, nice and slowly. Taking your time to arrive in your mountain pose. We'll step the right foot forwards and take our left foot a little bit wider, so our left toes are turning out. We're bending our right knee over our front ankle and noticing this internal rotation through the back thigh. So as we do this, our hips travel towards the front of our mat. Don't worry though, they don't need to be square on. Just notice this sensation of this rotation. As we float the fingertips high, we'll come back into our cactus arms. And if this doesn't feel good, we can keep the hands on the hips. There's lots of different stuff going on here in our body. Coming to our own version of warrior one. So back legs nice and long. We're rooting down through the knife edge of the back foot. Imagining we have a little ladybird under the back inner arch that we're trying not to squash. Wherever we are, breathing in and breathing out, lengthening through the spine, keeping nice and tall. If the shoulders are creeping up near the ears, can we notice this and release them? And floating the hands onto the hips, everybody meeting there. We'll start to straighten through our front leg, but straighten without locking into the knee joint, so keeping a micro bend in the front knee. And keeping this internal rotation through the back thigh as we lengthen, and keep lengthening through the spine as we fold. Fold down towards the ground, but as soon as our spine starts to round, that's where we stay. Hands can stay on the hips or float the palms together at the heart. Notice how you feel here in your pyramid pose. If you have your at-home bricks, you might like to use them for support. Wherever you are, just be really present with everything you can feel here. This might be your first time doing your pyramid pose. So rather than thinking about how the final shape looks, can we really notice how it feels? Breathing in, breathing out, bending the front knee, lifting back, warrior one, arms reach, and stepping the back foot to meet the front foot, mountain pose. Just wiggle the hips, move the body, take a big breath in. Nice, well done everyone. And then stepping the right leg back on a diagonal. We'll find our warrior one pose on the other side. So go through your checklist. Front knee bent over the front ankle, back thigh spirals forwards. Rooting down through the knife edge of the back foot, lifting through the inner arch. Hands on the hips or in our cactus arms. Listen to where there's space today. And notice how this feels on this side. Inhaling, exhaling. Whenever you're ready, floating the hands to the hips. Lengthening through the front leg, making sure we aren't locking into the knee. Keep spiraling the back thigh in as we lengthen forwards. Rather than folding down, can we really keep this length forwards? Making our way into our pyramid pose. Wherever the hands are, notice this. And just because you did something on one side doesn't necessarily mean it feels good on the other side. So just breathe and be wherever you are. One more breath here. Before bending the front knee, reaching the arms, warrior one. And stepping the back foot to meet the front foot. Wiggling it out, coming into our mountain pose. Whenever you've given everything a good shake. Nice. And then rolling our chin towards our chest. Bending the knees, will float down to the ground and our fold. Holding opposite hand to opposite elbow, swaying from side to side, really heavily, really gently. And planting the palms, neither coming straight into your child's pose or stepping both feet back into a downward facing dog. Choose your own adventure wherever you are today. If you're in down dog, just bend the knees, pedal the heels, wiggle the hips from side to side, or find 2 more breaths here. And then everybody meeting, knees wide, big toes to touch, child's pose. Really take any support you want to here. Maybe underneath the forehead, or lifting the hips onto a little support. Really make this child's pose your own. If child's pose really doesn't work for you, At this moment, just come to find another comfortable seat that does. One more breath here. And pressing into the palms, lightly lifting out. Scooting the legs to one side. And sitting in the center of our mat. With both feet on the earth, reaching our arms forwards. We'll curl our chin towards our chest and start to roll our spine down onto the ground as slow as we can go. So imagine we're moving in the slow-mo. Connecting to our center. Can we touch down one vertebrae at a time? Can we breathe at the same time? Nice. And whenever you get down on the ground, keep the knees bent. Take the feet as wide as the mat. And rolling the right thigh out and the left thigh in. Knees soften over to the right side. And then rolling the left thigh out, right thigh in, finding our windscreen wipers, just releasing from side to side. One more time to each side. Before coming back to center, we'll meet hugging our knees in, curling the forehead towards the knees, rounding into a tight ball. And on your exhale, letting everything go, finding our final and most precious resting posture, Shavasana. Either taking the legs out long or bending the knees with their feet on the earth. Noticing where the hands lie. Maybe we bring them to this space around our stomach, helping us to connect and stay connected to our breath. But wherever we are, just really inviting this heaviness as we root down towards the ground. Melt into the earth beneath us as if there were quicksand below. Every time our mind wanders away from this moment and jumps off our mat, can we simply notice this and bring it back to this space every time it does? Noticing our inhales and our exhales. Staying here for as long as you'd like to. And if you have to boogie and move off your mat, that's okay. Either resting the hands where they lie naturally or floating the palms together at the heart space. Honoring the divine light in each and every one of us. From my heart to yours, I thank you and namaste.